Let's chat.
It's hard.
You want to talk?
I know, that's disappointing.
Sit back. Let's work this out.
How's it going? What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow.
It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it.
Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard.
Trauma bonded.
Do you know that song? Give me that old time religion. 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 It's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. You ever heard that?
Thank God. I've never heard that.
What they're referring to, I don't know. Give me that old time religion, like back in the day when we could use the Bible to like support us being like racist and sexist and like beat our kids and shit. I mean, what is the old time religion that they want? I don't know, but they want it. We used to sing it in the church that I grew up in when I was a kid.
That old-time religion scares me.
It should scare us all.
But it is scary because it sounds like the tone of it might be like happy and like, you know, cheery and kooky. You know, in songs, when there's something really disturbing happening, but you play like a really happy song, it just adds to the horror of what's happening.
Yeah, totally.
And with you dancing, I could see you dancing at the same time.
And
I'm just like,
old time religion. Give me that old time religion. That's good enough for me.
Oh, God.
Back in the kitchen. Put those ladies back in the kitchen. What are they talking about? What is this old time religion? I remember back in my day, we got abused and we didn't talk about it. We just gave it to the Lord.
And look at me now. I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I had to learn.
Trump 2024. We're about to go hard on some people.
So
right?
Trigger warning to our...
Serious trigger warning because I'm pissed.
I was like shaking listening to this.
It's devastating. Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg and I'm here with Therese Garcia. And today we're discussing This Is Actually Happening, episode 310. We haven't talked titles. I don't know the title, so sorry. Synopsis. Our storyteller is brought into the world with the help of fertility treatments. Perceivably so wanted, but then treated like garbage by lots of people. Her father kicked out her mother and replaced her with a step monster type, a real abusive piece of shit. Her mother struggled to get her shit together, but really wanted to rescue her girls from an abusive house. Her mother, along with her live-in boyfriend, who also turns out to be a fucking piece of shit murderer, kidnaps her and her sister for a year. During that year, our storyteller experiences peace, food, music, homeschooling, and it's considered a good year, although they are on the lam. The FBI gets onto them, and they have to say goodbye. And after a bout in foster care, our storyteller is forced back into the abusive home of her father and stepmother. She doesn't give up hope that her mother will come and save her. Abuse continues, scarcity continues, and finally she gets to live with grandma, and all of this shit, all these shitty prior shitty ass years, it's all just expected to be ignored and forgotten and not talked about. And then the news is delivered. Her mother was murdered by that old boyfriend some 5 years prior, and that dream she's ever coming back is now dead with her. Throughout the next decade, our storyteller dates abuser after abuser as a way to know her mother, and finally she gets real therapy for her childhood trauma. She goes back to school, she feels loved by her partner, she lives in peace and abundance, all in a real way to honor her mother who never got to have the life she wanted. And full disclosure, I am the showrunner for This Is Actually Happening, and T knows nothing about anything. She comes in fresh, and this show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you is the heart of the story?
First off, I just wanted to comment on your synopsis. I thought it was maybe too kind. Oh, I'm just saying.
I was texting with Whit last night, and we were texting about the episode, and one of my standalone texts was, I really hate people with children right now.
Uh-oh.
It's stories like this that just reminds you just how many shitty ass parents there are, and this is a commonly occurring theme in a lot of our stories. And you just think of all of the kids that are suffering in silence. They're out there, just so many, just feeling unwanted and feeling unloved and experiencing abuse and scarcity. And you're just like, why are you having kids? Why did you have these kids that you don't want to love?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that blows my mind. I can't get over it.
And your synopsis, really great observation you made about, it's through fertility. They had multiple miscarriages. They were together for 10 years. They really wanted a kid.
Yeah. What the hell? Where's the breakdown? Where do you go from wanting this kid, paying money, time, effort, care, and then it's basically her dad seemed to treat her almost as an afterthought.
Yeah.
And had to be complicit in the abuse. I mean, sorry, if your kid's outside in the tent. What was the stepmother going, oh, they wanted to stay out in the tent. Oh, they're on fast. They're having fast week for church. I mean, you're just like believing the lies that she's peddling, or is he actively complicit in the abuse? I don't see how he couldn't be.
So many questions.
How do you not know what's going on in your own house? And if you do, fuck you.
Yeah.
Her poor mother, her shit's on the lawn. That's how she gets kicked out of her house. This is a long-term relationship with this man. And this is the unceremonious fuck you get. And then you're just expected. And then the mom, she's just why don't you have your shit together? I don't know. Maybe it's because you kicked me out of my house and my relationship. And I never got an education. I don't have a career. And now I'm just supposed to just buck up and get my shit together. She's probably couch surfing, right? She's living rough.
Yeah.
She probably lives out of her car to some degree. And so when she gets her kids, she takes them to a hotel room. So there's a place where they can be together. And she gets criticized for that. I mean, what the fuck is this woman supposed to do? Everything's against her. And don't even get me started about the rest of these people. I'll get to that.
I'm excited for that.
Sorry, T. What was the heart of the story?
I went with one word, choked. Of course, that's a nod to her mom's death, but then also being choked up. I mean, we talk a lot about she talks a lot about the deep sadness she feels throughout her life.
Yeah.
And then choked, like you can't talk about it. No one's talking about it. You're unable to speak. And then when you're thinking about being choked, the only thing you're feeling, your primary feeling right then and there is just trying to survive. It's a moment of panic, maybe a fight or flight mode. And that thinking about the way that she felt and the way that her life was, she never knew what was going to happen after. She never knew if she'd be saved. She hoped. But it's this state. I mean, can you imagine being choked and just having that feeling constantly?
It takes a long time. It takes 3 minutes of pressure or something to have all of that life choked out of you, literally, but also it's probably just such a slow acceptance that you're going to die. And then that hopelessness sets in. I mean, how excruciating. And then to know, I think it's just the worst way to go, because you know who's doing it to you too. This person that you loved is squeezing you until your life's gone.
It's very violent. which was what her life was like.
If only she would have just given it to God, you know?
Yeah, that would have saved her.
Yes, that's a good one, T. I had a one-word one this time.
Oh,
I picked the word uncertainty.
yes, that's a good one.
It's just so prevalent in her story, her whole life. And especially being a kid, I think it's such a precarious, it's a torturous way to live. If one thing kids need is consistency, right?
Something to depend on.
Yes. Stability.
Mm-hmm.
She talks a lot about this. She talks about these stark speed of changes. It's almost like it's unbelievable how quickly her life changes so many times. And she never knows what she's going to get. You know, all of a sudden her mom's gone. And here's this new person who puts peas in the mac and cheese. And
really, that's the least of her worries at that point.
But that was such a brilliant way to explain how, when you're a kid, how you think of the world. It's, you know, she says she put peas in the mac and cheese and lost it. And that really just stuck out to me because it really created a vision for me. It's this idea that when you're a kid in your house, you have a way that you do things, right? We have a way that we do things. I don't want, my friends would bring Christmas cookies. I don't want those Christmas cookies. I like my mom's Christmas cookies. You know, so it's around food, it's around smells, it's around cleanliness. You know, if you go to your friend's house and maybe it's a little dirty, it's off-putting because that's not what you're used to. You're used to your home and the way it always is clean, or it's always put together.
Right. And when it invades your home, it's even more off-putting because that's not how we do things.
Exactly. And their kids have to have this consistency. It's a comfort. It makes you feel safe. That's why our first sleepover, we usually call home and ask to be picked up because there's all this unfamiliarity with the way other families do things, and they're just behind doors and we don't know it until we experience it. And they're like, that's not how we do it in my family. And I think
that's not where the door to the bathroom is. That's confusing.
You know, and that little example just really set up the stage for me, and thinking of it in terms of how she experienced all this change and uncertainty as a kid, and how scary that is on its own. And then throw in the abuse. There's still uncertainty there. She doesn't know when it'll happen. What will set this bitch off? Is it me or my sister?
Right.
You know, who's going to help us? Where's dad? Where's my Christian fucking grandmas? Where's my mom?
No one's talking about it.
But there was this little bright light in the back of her head that was like, my mom's going to come save me. And then once the mother is dead, it's like all hope is lost. And now life really is uncertain.
You're so vulnerable when you're that age. You need that routine. And then when you don't get it, and nobody's saying anything, just things change, and then that's just how it is now. Oh no, now it's changed again.
So it's just completely uprooting her from anything familiar. And then you're not allowed to talk about it. Kids hold so much. They hold so much inside them, and they're getting all of these messages, and they're learning how to be. And so now she's a people pleaser, and she wants the peace, this incredible stress and anxiety that she's already starting to build in her. And then, both parents are talking shit about the other ones, and that's putting a terrible burden on your kid. You guys, do people get this now? I mean, people talk about healthy co-parenting now. I feel like it's more, people know more about not talking shit about your spouse to their kids.
I think so.
It's so low EQ, you guys.
Well, yeah, but it's so toxic.
It's so toxic. You birthed the baby with this person. that's always going to be your kid's mom or dad. Like,
Yeah.
give them that at least. Don't put that burden. You're just stressing your kids out in putting a burden on them, as does religion. And something that she said that really sticks out to me too, being in this tumultuous, like, pulling back and forth between her parents and also, like, all of the family thinking her mom is like a piece of shit. She says the truth didn't matter to this family.
Right.
And I think that's a familiar concept to a lot of us. Like, it's not about what is true or what is false, but it's like people just reacting to what makes them feel good or bad in the moment,
Right. Like, we can't talk about it, but when we do talk, it's just going to be lies just to
Yeah.
make myself feel better. It's
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah. And there's zero self-analyzation. There's no, what could I have done to change the situation for the better? It's just always blame, blame, blame. And I've said this before about my own mother, and I think this is kind of maybe a boomer mentality, is not that we're anti-boomer on this podcast.
You're practically a boomer.
I'm practically a boomer. Well, I have boomer mentality or
Tendencies.
boomer tendencies,
Yeah.
which I acknowledge.
Why are you asking for my ID to go watch a movie?
But they're really good at compartmentalizing, right? I am dealing with this situation right here in front of me, but as soon as my head turns and looks in another direction, that's gone. I've forgotten about that. And that one has nothing to do with this other one. And I'm going to deal with this situation. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to steal through it. And then I'm going to turn my head and face another direction. And there's going to be something new. And it has nothing to do with the other two, right? But I think we know now from lots of knowing stuff that all of these parts are usually related somehow. If you just do like a bit of like introspection,
Yes.
right?
Self-reflection.
Maybe if you can root it out in one situation, maybe you can root it out in others. Or maybe you can see how your behavior in one situation affects another. I don't know. They're so good at it. My mom votes like a fucking idiot. And when I ask her, sorry, Mom, but when I ask her straight point blank, or when I say to her, when you vote that way, you're voting against people that you love, like Therese. I don't think of it that way. She doesn't think of it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
She puts it in her pocket.
Things are getting heated. Not with you, but in the world right now.
I don't know what we're going to do, T.
Let's just keep talking about
Okay,
this.
let's keep talking. Okay. You can tell in her voice, man, she is so sad. And she does say she's got it together, but you can tell that she just has it together. And can you blame her, like, what she's gone through? But talking about being a kid and being reflective on that and seeing how sad she was then, and that she also points out that everyone around her seemed so sad. Everyone around her seemed so dissatisfied. Like, what is the point? And then you've got adults telling you this is how it's done, but are obviously very unhappy. Well, if
Definitely
this is
nothing to look forward to.
Completely nothing to look forward to, except for bad shit, really. That just seems to be what keeps coming at her. I don't want to get hung up on this, and maybe you know more about this, having you're in the midst of potty training. I know that you're at the end of it.
Yep.
When she talks about potty training abuse,
Yeah.
Do you know what she's referring to?
I would guess that maybe they have. What happens when you potty train is sometimes they have accidents, and you don't want them to have accidents, but you also don't blame them necessarily or punish them for it, as they are just learning how to do it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of understanding from a child's perspective that this is a change
Yeah.
would give you enough to understand, Or, you used to be a kid too. You probably don't remember when you were getting potty trained, but it's like we all went through it. You hope you don't get punished for something everybody does, is have these little mistakes that don't even matter,
So you think when she refers to potty training abuse, it's probably like an overreaction to something natural, and maybe it's an excuse to beat a kid for having
It
an accident.
sounds, the stories she told throughout seem like just an excuse to be
Mean.
evil. Yeah.
Yeah. So sad. And ironically, that abuse is probably going to continue to just make the body training
Oh,
more
yeah.
difficult, right?
Oh, yeah.
Abuse victims often are bedwetters for years.
Yeah.
It's a fear. You're like frozen in place, but your pee has to come out.
Yeah. I just think of like these little kids who are just trying to live.
They didn't ask to be born. We have such a high duty of care, and it's amazing the harms that get perpetrated on kids, and the way that you stop it, hopefully, is by telling your story. And that's what I said to her. I emailed her this morning. I was like, you spoke truth to harm, and that is all that you can do, hopefully, to keep it from happening again or to someone else, or stop that cycle.
Yeah.
I hope we're getting better.
I hope, when people hear her story, they might think about the way they're acting. But it's not like kids are hearing this to be like, oh, this is wrong what's happening to me.
I know.
And I need to say something.
It's really depressing. We remember our little child brains, and what we carried around with us, like the burden of spending hell and eternity.
Oh my gosh, it'll haunt you forever.
Oh, but wait, not just you. If you don't talk to little Mikey next to you at recess, he's gonna burn for eternity in hell too. So put that burden on a kid.
Oh yeah. But she didn't really specify. She did talk a lot about religion, but didn't specify how they like practiced or spouted their words.
I think religion also breeds in you further this idea of not knowing what to do. I think religion, it breeds confusion, and I think it's intentional. I think it's evil. As kids, all we want is love and peace and consistency, joy, safety. Pretty straightforward things. But what does religion teach? What does nationalism and capitalism? These are all very contradictory to these sorts of values that we naturally have as human beings. God is love, but
not if you
if you fuck up or if you don't love him back, you're going to spend eternity in hell.
And you deserve it.
Love your neighbor, but not the brown ones, and not the immigrant ones, and not the gay ones, and not the unemployed ones, and not the druggy ones, and not your own mother. You want peace? Jesus' peace. Just give it to God. Just give it to God. Why don't you just give it to God? And so here's all the way to do it, but also we suck at it. So it's not exactly doable either. So here are all the rules to do it, but we suck at it. We can't do it. We haven't figured it out, but hopefully you will. And if you don't, well, your life's going to suck.
Well, no, they've figured it out. It's not their fault. It's the kids are bad. They need to be punished in order to learn.
Good point, T.
And in fact, I also was probably punished when I was younger. so I could learn. So I will pay it forward
Yeah.
to make sure you become good kids just like me, good adults just like me.
Yeah. Which was all a lie. And that's the other thing. Kids see right through your bullshit. So they see the hypocrisy and they're not allowed to call it out, you know?
Oh, it'll get worse if you do that.
Let me just say real quick. I'm not coming after your God and I'm not coming after your spiritual practices, okay? I will say this though, and I'm not talking to you, T, I'm talking to you, everyone.
I can feel it. I can
Okay.
feel it.
Peace is abandoning dogma, and not just dogma in religion, dogma wherever you find it. If you think for yourself and you judge each situation on its own merits, it's scary, but it is true freedom.
I love that.
It took me a long time to make my breakup with the church. And it was like a slow, trying to tip over like a pop machine, you know, and to give it a few pushes. But I said this years ago, even when it first was starting, when my exodus from all that shit, that dogma was first starting. I never, as a Christian, trying to fit all of the molds they told me I had to fit into and pay the tithe and do the naming and claiming and the praying and all the things they told you to do, and life just wasn't working out. It is confusion. It's confusing. It is the complete opposite of peace. Why don't I have peace? I'm doing everything they're telling me to do, but everything sucks. It's ultimate confusion. As soon as I abandoned what they told me I was supposed to do to live a good life, that is when my peace came. I truly believe that. Anyway, sorry about that tangent, but I just get so mad at the dogma.
Yeah.
There are absolutes. I'm not saying there's not. But you cannot live by the rigidity of rules that the status quo or that some organization has deemed to be the way. You must think for yourself. You must seek. You must make mistakes. It's called growth and it's fucking hard, but it's so much better. It's so much better.
Well, is it confusion, Elly, or is it because you're questioning too much the religion? And isn't it that you should just let God? What is it?
Let go, let God.
Let go, let God. You're not confused. Stop thinking. Stop questioning.
You're thinking too much.
Yeah, whoa, calm it down. Just do as I say.
You let the world get all up in your brains with your education and your being friends with the gays, and it's changed ya. Oh, that's our daughter, Elly. Don't mind her. She lives in California with the gays. You know, this is the thing my parents would say out loud. Not the gays part, but, you know, when I'm at Applebee's and I ask for a vegetarian meal. Oh, don't mind her. She's from California. No, bitch, I'm from here. It's called change, bitch. I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, Dad, wherever you are. Did you want to say anything? I'm sorry I went on that little rant there.
No, I said what I said. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the kidnapping, so-called.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? You think it was the right thing for her to do?
We don't get a lot from the story what the situation exactly was and why she felt she couldn't go to authorities. She took photos.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough information to judge here, but I think if we're just thinking about positive and intent,
Yeah.
and she's desperate to save her quickly without, you know, going through this whole bureaucracy, she did what she felt she had to do.
Yeah. It's like an impossible situation. But, I mean, let's face it. If I had a strong belief and proof that my kids were being abused, I would do the same thing.
Just take them and run.
Just take them. Especially if I've got authorities or people or whatever telling me that, oh, you'll never win them in court. They would never side with you because XYZ. Who knows why?
Yeah.
But I had a strong belief that they were being hurt. Yeah, I would do it. Wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I would do it, especially if it felt... She was running... She was afraid of something, that she wouldn't actually get custody.
Yeah.
There was something there.
I imagine there was a lot of judgment around her lifestyle.
Uh-huh.
We don't get to know a lot about that. But I mean, she was probably living what would be perceived as an unstable lifestyle or something not suitable for kids.
Right. But maybe still better than the abuse that they're getting every day.
And, and of course, it sounded like that was a good year for her, even though they were on the run.
Yeah.
And then the goodbye is like really heartbreaking. It's like she didn't know it would be her last goodbye to her mother. And it was almost like without ceremony, just like, see you around. And then I start to get really angry.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Not only are her and her sister put into foster care, they're separated. Where is everybody?
She seems to have a big family.
Yeah, where are
Everyone's
these?
going to that ballet recital. But for some reason...
Yeah, they all came together when they're back in the house to celebrate her escaping the clutches of her evil mother. Where's Auntie? And where are these Christian grandmas at?
Yeah.
Where are these Pentecostal Catholic grandmas at? Then.
Yeah.
T, if your kids are not mine, if I knew tomorrow that they were getting thrown in foster care because whatever.
You're going there.
You think I would let that stand?
No way.
No way.
Yeah.
I'd roll up, if they got separated, I'd roll up to each house and take each one of them if I had to. Where is the help? Where's all the Christianity? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand either.
Who lets kids get separated and put in foster care?
Multiple times.
And then they come back. Oh, well, we're celebrating. You're back with your daddy. You got rid of that bitch mom of yours. Yeah. How was foster care? Like, what?
Yeah.
I know we're not giving all the information, but still. Family, friend, neighbor, teacher. I don't know. I know it's not fair. It's not fair to me to put these external judgment on something I don't know enough about.
No. I think it's fair. I was hesitating to judge the mom, who seemed like she was in a desperate situation to save her kids.
Yeah.
Judge away.
I know, but we ask people to really empathize with the storytellers, and maybe I need to have more compassion for people around her.
No.
Even though...
I don't think so.
I mean, she says that she has empathy for her father and stepmother. So I'm like, well, if she's holding a place of empathy for them, maybe we can come for them then.
I know. Yeah, I was like, when she said that, I was like, no.
I was like, okay, girl, you do you. We'll get them for you.
Yeah, I was definitely no. That was the part when I was like, gonna have to disagree with you there. I mean, also just with the rest of the family, there's visible signs of abuse.
Yeah. How is she getting away with breaking this girl's teeth?
Oh my God, such a vivid visual. It's horrifying.
Eating the dog food out of scarcity.
Yeah.
Like, this is like some next level criminal shit.
This is criminal. I mean, I was wondering, I know she may be anonymous, but like they need to be found.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Lock her up. The step monster gets her to admit she's suicidal. She gets sent to a padded cell.
So manipulative.
And this whole time she's going, why won't anyone help us? Where's my dad? Where is my dad, and why won't anyone help us?
I'm glad she's questioning, because at this point it's like she could be like, I deserve it. If she was like brainwashed by religion or whatever it was, like, I deserve this. This is how I should live. This is my future. This is how it's going to be. And just surrender. I'm glad she was like, how is this not stopping? This is not right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a really good point. And that's when you want to like grab that little girl and be like, you're going to be okay. The fact that you're questioning this, that's a good sign.
Right.
You're going to be okay.
I can't imagine your mental state when there were multiple, I'm sure, many, many instances, and we only heard a couple.
Yeah.
But like, how do you not go somewhere else and like break from reality?
Well, I mean, it was only a matter of time once she hit her teen years that was going to set in. But just this idea of living outside in a tent, not being allowed in the bathroom, and then that sending their sister away, who we never find out really what happens to her.
Well, she comes back. There's one mention, right?
Oh yeah, she.
I was like, oh, she's back. Okay, good. Yeah.
She goes to the grandmother's. They don't talk about anything, but she does send her to therapy. But of course, because she's been brainwashed, that she's not allowed to talk about the experiences she's lived, she doesn't tell her therapist everything.
As a therapist, if you were, I keep coming back to like the criminality of all of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you tell your therapist about abuse, and
they have to report it.
They have to report it.
Mandatory reporting. But that's she hid her abuser's abuse. She hid it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that her grandma probably only put her in therapy for the mother part of it. We haven't even talked about the mom's murder, man. That line where she says she was going to go find her daughters. I mean, it's just devastating.
Yeah.
You know, and our storyteller, upon hearing this horrible information, she says something just breaks in her and she just gives up. She gives up on school, on herself, on religion. Just a devastating crime. And she's been in this process since at least May, probably. So I don't really remember. I don't know what punishment he gets or anything like that.
Just gonna say, I can't believe he carried her around for 5 years.
So deranged.
What kind of psychotic?
Just another fragile man.
Because she wanted to get her daughters back. She
was leaving him, though. Men don't like to be left.
You could just deal with it, right? I don't know. That's one option. Are there two options? Just to deal with it or dismember someone? I mean, I don't know.
Murders.
I didn't even know that was one of the options.
Murder?
Yeah, but apparently.
So she gives up, and, you know, the next decade is her really having a tough time. And she dates a string of terrible domestic abusers. And her assessment of this is really introspective. She's dating these men to please her stepmother, to feel loved by her stepmother.
Yeah.
And to know and to feel a kinship with her mother, to know her mother, to understand her mother. And I'm sure when it's happening, she's not realizing that, but to look back and be able to have that sort of introspection and understanding of why you make the choices that you do, it's just so demonstrative of how much work she's done. Just like having the empathy for her father and her stepmother because of their sad situations. She says everyone's sad. Everyone's sad in this situation. There's no one to blame or be mad at or hold a grudge against. But I would love to get all of these abusers in a room and let them know what it's like.
Oh, yeah. She also talks about how she was doing all that, dating all these abusers, because it's just what she knew.
Right. People are comfortable in what they know. And she says that's embarrassing to say that.
But to say it probably resonates with people.
I think it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
You just sort of get used to certain types of people treating you a certain way. And I mean, was it last episode I talked about it? Like I had to learn how to let Scott love me, because it'd been so long that I felt truly loved in a romantic relationship. You just get used to the status quo, man. So it sounds like, she found a therapist that specifically focused on childhood trauma. And it sounds like she really did a lot of work to start to heal from these things. Let's talk real quickly about the true crime indictment that she made, which is fair enough, right? I mean, this whole idea of true crime as entertainment or exploitative. Also, I wanted to say that I've talked to survivors, more so of people that have been harmed by strangers. They specifically talked about how they seek out true crime as a way to like further deal with what happened to them. And it's like a sense, like they find like a community that they're a part of. Because stranger crime is so rare, we think it's all around us, but really the majority of crimes, especially to women, is from someone they know or domestic abuser. So stranger crime is a lot more rare. So people, not everyone, but people have seek out true crime as a therapy. And, I think if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have at least one foot in the true crime genre, I imagine. What do you think about the true crime genre, T?
I've got one foot in there, I think, as well. But you're right. I mean, it is kind of exploitative. And then if it isn't accurate, which is what was happening with her, it just feels like a betrayal or of some sorts. Like, that's not what happened. Like, I'm over here trying to be able to communicate what actually happened so I can start healing.
Yeah.
And then you do it like this. That's not at all. And it doesn't even give the feeling probably of what it was like.
Well, yeah. And how are they telling this story without, I don't know, someone close
You didn't
to
talk
it?
to me?
Yeah,
Did you
their
talk to me about
input.
this? Or, yeah. And to fit it into, an hour of flashing reenactments and
Yeah.
scary music.
Yeah.
Feels like it cheapens it.
Completely. Yeah. Are there any shows or media or whatever that you have encountered that you thought handled it really well or did justice to the victim or survivor?
Yeah. I mean, I do watch them and I am a fan. I can't think of, the Jinx I thought was really good.
Well, and that kind of storytelling, that was like a deep dive. It wasn't like a one-off episode, right? It was like a 6-part series
Right.
that really got into it.
Right.
I just finished a season of a show on Freevee. It was called #TextMeWhenYouGetHome. And it's born out of that hashtag that started on Twitter or whatever, about what women face when they're just trying to get home, So it's this whole idea of text me when you get home.
Yeah.
So it's a show completely dedicated to women survivors. It's all told from their involvement. Their involvement is in the story. I thought it was like really, really well done, really informative, introspective, deep dive, but not exploitative. I mean, maybe you could say on the face of it, true crime is exploitative. And they always tied it back to, this whole idea that we have to text each other when we get home because crime lurks around every corner, I guess. And it just sucks that we can't just go out in the world and expect to get home alive.
Just live.
God forbid.
Can we not just live?
Can we not just live?
You know what I love about the arc of these stories? They're so brutal. And, but they always kind of end with something kind of nice, That's like something to live by and think about. I just think I love it. She's just ended with being kind can change the world one person at a time, one day at a time.
Yeah.
It seems so simple, but it's like,
Feels manageable.
it feels manageable.
Yeah. Why is it so hard?
Why is it so hard? But yeah, I mean, I get it. You're in a bad mood or something, but you still, try.
You got to try. Well, and she makes the point too that her mom never had a chance to get her life together. It was stolen from her. And so to honor her, she's going to keep focusing on getting her shit in order. The way she describes her life, she describes herself as lucky.
Mm-hmm.
She says she's lucky that she got to spend that year with her mom, even though to other people she was kidnapped for a year.
Yeah.
She's lucky that she got to go live with her grandma, even though to me it sounded like her grandma failed her in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And now she's happy that she's with someone that takes care of her and is kind to her, and there's food in the house, and the dog gets walked, and she gets to hike and all that stuff. Like, it sounds like she's created a nice world for herself.
No, we take those things for granted,
Totally.
Food in the house.
Totally.
Having a walk, with a dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah, listening to that, and I just went on a walk with my little son.
Yeah.
And we saw a woodpecker, and we stood there staring at the woodpecker. He's like, "That's a pileated woodpecker." I was like, "Okay."
Okay, dork.
Nerd.
Nerd alert.
But yeah, I mean, it's just nice to take the minute.
Yeah.
Appreciate the moment,
Yeah. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
It could be way, way worse. Yes, I have gratitude in my heart that I get to talk to you today about this episode.
I know.
How
Me
lucky
too.
are we?
It's
we get
pretty
to talk
cool.
to each other, and we make people listen to us.
We do make them.
They come back for more.
But yeah, thankful we're listening to these stories and that people are open to sharing them.
It's quite a privilege getting to do what we do. Anything else?
That's all I had.
Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show where podcasts are kept. If you like us, please rate and review us on Apple or other places. Don't let the task overwhelm you. Just rate us 5 stars and write, "I like it, love it, wants more of it," or "I hate the ads."
Or anything.
That's if you don't know what to say, but really write anything. These ratings are really important, you guys.
Are they?
I don't know why, but apparently people pay attention to them.
Oh yeah, encourages people to listen or not.
We need stars, y'all. Give us the stars.
You convinced me. Okay, I'll do it. Okay. Wow.
And if you've already written one, pull your partner over the computer and have his face or her face open up the phone and post one in their honor. Thanks to Anonymous for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. And thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Tromboli. And thanks to Cathy Sitzes for editing this episode, and Katie Capel for building those blasted Instagram posts. You can contact us at traumabondedpod at gmail.com, and find us on Instagram at traumabondedpodofficial, or visit our website at traumabondedpod.com. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, T.
Love you, Elly.